Let's go into space.
I gotta hop over to Twitch and refresh my page.
Looking at the show notes for the first time this week. It's blank.
That's how you know it's going to be a good no agenda.
Exactly.
All hot takes.
Yeah, I told Rockwell if we ran out of stuff to talk about, I can just start sending him like repos for Type DI and what else was I sending you? Class validator and a few other things.
Oh my god, that's like object-oriented nonsense. It's all functions, man. Why do you need any more abstractions than that? It's just functions.
How are you going to make sure those functions get past the right arguments, though? Without a DI system, Rockwell.
You got to make them types. What, deep dependency injection?
Yeah.
That's the real question. Everything's just a function with one argument, right?
What am I looking at in here?
I'm
64
worried
DB?
that if I keep this chat open, my computer is actually going to physically melt.
Yeah, your audio is a little. I'm getting some choppiness
Some pops.
on the stream. Yeah. Do you have a second device you could pull up the chat on? Well, StreamYard has a chat built in. Are you using that? Oh, you're not in the. You can't because you're not.
I see private chat only. Not a big deal.
Oh.
I'll get it worked out.
Interesting.
Yeah, I guess can't send stuff. Hello, everyone out there in Twitch land, YouTube land, Periscope. Are we on Periscope? We are on Periscope.
Probably.
So
Hey, we're good.
StreamYard is like a distribution service. You just give them all your stream keys and they just push it out everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you can do RTMP as well, I think, like generic endpoints.
They just seem to do it better than what was Lightstream? I think it was. We were
Lightstream,
having lots of problems with Lightstream towards the end of our usage of it.
Yeah, it kept flaking out in the middle of the show and
I think
just refreshing the page.
There was one day where we couldn't even stream because it just was totally down
Yeah.
on a Thursday.
What's interesting about this is like the screen that you're seeing is all DOM elements. Like the little text overlays, everything is HTML. And it's not clear to me like what's being rendered where.
I want to open my web inspector now and dig into this, but I feel like my computer will not be happy with me.
Maybe now's not the time.
Yeah.
Don't cry, Anthony. Don't cry because it's over. Cry because it happened. How does that expression go? Is that right?
What?
Cry because all of the information will be invalid within 3 to 6 months.
That's right. That's right.
TypeScript.
Yeah, who writes TypeScript? It's gonna be like
Is that-
CoffeeScript.
It's gonna. You took my joke. You took my joke. This isn't gonna work, Paul. This isn't gonna work. Hold on. All right. So, guys, TypeScript.
Did you just mute him?
Hi, Thomas.
What's up, Thomas? Anthony? Anthony's kind of carrying the torch of the podcast crew in DNC, I guess.
That's true. He's blogging and podcasting all over the place, seems.
Funny you say that, Thomas.
Backbone.
We'll see if Rockwell gets to talk about his new adventures at all.
Yeah, you want to talk about some dead technologies. I had a fun foray this weekend. We'll see. We'll see if we get into it. The first step to learning to code is not falling asleep while we're doing the podcast. That's for starters. I know it's past your bedtime, but...
One of the 10,000 courses available online.
Use Swift Playground on your iPad.
Yeah, you can do that. I forgot about that. I haven't tried the new version of it yet because my iPad's on the beta.
Oh, is it only? It's still not out. I thought it's been out already. Still in beta.
iOS 15 Beta 4 ready to install. So I just clicked install.
Perfect
Is
time.
the Playgrounds beta available though?
I'm not sure.
I don't.
I thought it's
don't
been out
think
there.
So maybe
Oh.
it is. What am I
What's-
gonna do? Write an app on my iPad? Really? Like
That's what Tim Cook
I
wants you
really
to do.
appreciate that it's there, but I don't think that is the path I would choose.
Mm-mm.
I mean, Xcode barely works on a real computer.
Right? Exactly. Why do it's already really difficult to make an app? Why do I want to make it harder on myself?
It's not like I need any other tools to develop an app that need to be open at the same time.
Yeah.
Or version
Well,
control.
let me just tap the triple dot thing at the top of the screen and drag a window over. Yeah, come on.
Just bring up your terminal. Oh. It's all been going downhill ever since Visual Basic 6. After that, everything is just
Funny.
a poor implementation. Poor
I'm just
implementation, I
reading-
should say.
Just reading this article about or his interview with the creator of Dwarf Fortress, and yeah, he talks about VB6 in here.
Is there Visual Basic in Dwarf Fortress?
He said, where'd it go? Oh, MSVC6. Sorry, not VB6.
Oh, Visual C.
Visual Studio 6. Yeah, he's been writing C, C++ for 15 to 20 years on Dwarf Fortress, and he's got like 90 side projects or something like that. And so when there was a question like, have you tried any other ecosystems or languages or anything like that? He's like, nope. Fair enough.
That's one way to do it.
What's up, Drew? No, not the final episode of the week.
Well, I mean, technically.
Well,
Technically
yeah,
it
I
is.
guess both things can be true at the same time. If you're going to PR review me in real time,
Knit.
you can fire up the knit snippet.
You need a whole snippet for 3 letters.
Sometimes you just type end tab and then you puts a colon in there too.
Just put a keyboard program into your keyboard to type it.
It puts a smiley face at the end as well.
Just of the positive reinforcement.
That's a sandwich. You got to have the positive thing at the beginning and the end.
Yep.
Just two emoji. Just 2 emoji. This code really sucks.
It's a smiley face, a poop emoji, and a smiley face.
Oh man, yeah. Did I tell you, Rockwell? I guess I don't know if I mentioned it on the show, but for the first time in my career, I received a zip file full of malware and viruses
On purpose?
on purpose. Yeah, for
What a-
testing
what a
purposes. Do not unzip it, upload it, and delete it. Were the instructions I was given. Again, do not unzip is what it said.
Wait, so what's the purpose of this just lit bomb with a fuse to upload to your program?
The fuse. Oh, yeah. So I'm working on the UI for a payload scanner.
Okay. Do not unzip.
So I have to have a real payload to upload so we can actually trip their plugin system. And
You're
not have-
you're literally like one click away, from destroying everything.
they're in
that
my
you love.
downloads folder. I haven't deleted them yet. I'm looking at them right now.
This is how COVID happened, Sean. One bat. Eat one bat.
Wrap
I
the
was,
zip in
I
a
was
zip.
thinking it's like John Roderick with the cigarettes above the door. He doesn't smoke, but he just keeps cigarettes above each door, so the temptation is always there.
What does that
It
mean?
Makes you stronger.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was like, "Are you on a Windows machine by chance?" I was like, "No." He's like, "Okay."
Well, here's the thing, John. The way Mac OS unzips, if you have an archive in an archive, I think it will automatically just start unzipping. Like it'll dig down and automatically unzip things all the way till it can't unzip anymore. So I don't think that would actually save you on Mac OS.
But what about like his actual zip bomb then?
Well, that's a whole other thing.
Hmm.
But like I know, like if you have a tar.gz file, you'll see it like untar it and then ungzip it
Oh, yeah, yeah.
in like 2 separate steps. I don't know.
It's real interesting to look at it after like the scanned representation of it in the stuff I'm building. That is.
Just
I
don't
did
look
open
at the
it.
zip. It's like the ARC, right? Like you just can't look at it.
Yeah, it's just like a bummer because we just now got the sample, like these zip files, and it turns out that the amount of content in them is probably 100x like the original test stuff we had. So we're like, oh, we got to fix a lot of this UI because you can't scroll, or
Oh.
you know, you can't render 1,500 interactive nodes at a time, or you shouldn't rather. And the visualize, there was a file. There's a tree diagram that's built with D3, and that's real tough to work with. So now I have to fix all that too.
D3, isn't that Facebook's like UI library thing?
No.
Or it's something else. Oh, it's 3D. Never mind.
Yeah. So we're using VX or V6 or whatever it's called, but it's built on top of D3.
So Anthony, Sean has already achieved a higher Weissman score than 0.58. So they don't need Pied Piper. He's that good. He did it all in TypeScript.
I mean, they wouldn't even like email us the files or send them over Slack. They're like, no. We'll send you a link. It's like, okay.
A courier will show up at your door with a package.
Yeah.
Sneaker net it.
Yeah, something like that.
I still have a floppy disk over here of the I Love You virus. Do you remember that one?
The name is familiar.
That was a VB script virus that took advantage of Microsoft Outlook's like API. And so if you ran it as an extension within Outlook or Outlook Express, I think, it would basically go through your contact list and email itself to everyone. But also it would just randomly go through a bunch of your system files and like make copies of itself. It would overwrite system files with a copy of itself, like its own source code. I don't know. I guess maybe increasing the chance that you click on it again or something. It was super weird, but like I don't know if it did anything malicious other than like just self-replicate. And yeah, I have it quarantined on a floppy for for some reason. It's an abomination to look at. This VB script, but you know.
When you search "I love you" virus, the first result in Google is just the Wikipedia article for VB script. I find that very funny.
See? It's legacy.
For posterity.
That and VB script's legacy. That and what MS Office scripting. What was that called? Where you could script stuff in Excel.
Oh, Excel macros?
VBA. Yeah.
Apparently,
That's-
the "I love you" worm spread through email attachment in Outlook 97, and it costs billions of dollars. Citation needed, but that's what Wikipedia says.
I like listening to podcasts about that stuff.
We could start like instead of a murder podcast, it could be like a I don't know, true crime, true internet crime.
True worms.
There is one called Darknet Diaries that I listen to.
Oh, there you
Where
go.
he goes, Jack Resider goes and interviews people that have been like arrested for, doing bad things, or he just tells stories about stuff that's happened. So, the one about the Saudi, I can't remember exactly what happened. I shouldn't really say much about it, but there was an oil company, like one of the most prominent oil companies, that were hit and taken completely offline, and for quite a long time afterwards, they had trouble getting employees to like respond to emails or use their devices because they're like, I don't want to be responsible for this happening again and get fired. So they just like wouldn't use their computers. Fair enough, right?
Abstinence communication.
Right. Yeah, we could probably get going soon.
Yeah, probably. Let me get rid of this animal. Nah, he's all right. He's part of the show.
But yeah, Darknet Diaries, check it out. It's got some interest or some entertaining reads or listens rather. You have nothing to read really.
Hey, stop it.
That's the one, Anthony.
Okay, stand by. I need to do this.
the flea market. My brother always calls Rockwell's office the flea market because there's so much stuff.
It kind of looks like a high-end audio store. Just
Yeah.
a wall of headphones.
How's the flea market doing? He says every time.
Welcome back.
I'm back. Are we doing this?
I should be drinking water too.
Thomas, I got to fly down to meet you.
That first sip feeling. Drive up and meet Rockwell. Oh yeah, that's right. You guys are on the same coast now.
You're in Virginia, right? Probably in the restricted land at Dulles. No, I can't even get near Dulles because there's a big restricted area. There's all kinds of rules about flying near there.
I mean, you could, right?
Yeah, you get an air show. You just have 2 F-16s, like guide you right in. It's easy.
Yeah, you can. That's a thing you can do exactly one time.
Yeah.
Free
It's a
air
fun-
show.
It's a fun time though. All right, so I'm getting ready to push my button over here.
All right, I'm ready.
Buttons pushed.
I push the button.
I am recording.
Land in red square. What does that mean?
That's an actual thing that happened. Someone landed like a small plane in the red square in, was it Moscow?
That seems like a bad idea.
Like, was this an emergency landing or a decision?
I do not recall. I think
Hmm.
it's a stunt. Publicity stunt.
Got it.
All right, I self-assigned as the clapper
Uh-oh.
this time around.
Oh, self-assigned. All right.
Unless someone else wants to clap.
It's the entirety of our. It's
I
entirety
think
of
the
our show
person with
notes.
the most tenure should clap.
I think that's true. That sounds good.
Where's Mikhail
Most
at?
experience.
All right, ready? 1, 2, 3.
Nice.
I don't know if that was on or not. Oh well.
Anthony, so close. We'll count it. We'll count it. It's good enough.
That's funny. Cool. Well, welcome everybody to what is the, I guess, final episode of the DNC podcast. Not necessarily stream, but podcast. I anticipate to doing some code streams eventually. Not streams.
And code screams.
Yeah,
Screaming.
That's part of the stream.
Yeah, if someone tells me one more time what I'm doing wrong, I'm going to freak out. But yeah, so we thought it would be fun to have Paul on the last episode as well, since he was also on the first episode. And I don't think we've done a show with all three of us at the same time either.
I've been on with
So-
Rockwell a couple times, but not both of you. Haven't been on a podcast with you in like 3.5 years or something, Sean.
Which is wild because it doesn't seem like it's been that long, I guess. It doesn't feel like it anyway. So let's try to, I'm trying to think about this. 285 episodes. And it started in like 2015, yeah?
October 2015, I believe. Yep.
Yeah. So coming up on 60 years.
Pretty wild.
Long time.
Yeah, and Sean and I kind of both, we skipped last week, if you might have noticed, because we were just kind of feeling, we were talking about it, and we were just feeling kind of, I don't know, burnt out. Is that the right word? I don't know, just kind of losing momentum on things we thought were interesting to talk about on the show, time investment, just general interest. You know, what we found is that, you know, the best part about the show really has been growing the community and meeting awesome people. And I don't know, just doing the show and editing the show every week felt like a lot of work for, I don't know, maybe not the, it was too high level involvement for what we were sort of looking to get out of this sort of relationship we have with people who like the show. And so that's kind of where we're at. You know, this is going to be the last sort of formal episode of the podcast, but as Sean alluded to, we are going to keep the DNC thing going for the foreseeable future, just not necessarily in the podcast form, right?
Right. Yeah. First of all, shout out to Chris. Thanks for that raid. Appreciate it, man. So Chris, CM Griffing is someone that I hang out with on Twitch. So I just wanted to give him a shout out as well. He's been a supporter for a while, and anytime I kind of hop into his stream, he shouts the podcast out. So appreciate it. Yeah, and like Rockwell said, it's sort of been one of those things like, yeah, 6 years is a long time, and it kind of feels like the last year or so we've been kind of like running in circles a little bit. So I think I would like to, do some streaming in the future and on building stuff. But I think I want to transition into a period of building for a while instead of yak shaving for a while about the same stuff. So that's kind of what a lot of the motivation was around it, or the conversation rather, like approaching Rockwell and asking like, hey, what do you think about this? So, yeah.
Yeah, and to Anthony's point in the chat, like we have been doing this all ourselves. We don't have sponsors for years now, and it's all just our time. And so I don't know. Again, just trying to maximize that. I don't know.
Yeah,
Well,
I guess
I'm proud of you guys. Like Sean, almost 6 years of a weekly podcast is incredible. Like what an effort on your part. And Rockwell, you beat me, man, by a good
that
good
wasn't
margin
the intention.
too. But you did it. You did it though. It's impressive.
I'm just awesome that you guys set up I'm just really happy that you guys set up this awesome, got the ground. You made it really easy for me to transition into this because you did all the hard work of, getting the thing going and doing all the 100 and I don't know, about 150 episodes before me. And I was secretly hoping that Sean would ask me when you left, Paul. I didn't say anything, but he definitely did reach out to me first. And I was super excited to join, and it's just been really, really fun. So, yeah.
That's cool, man. Couldn't have asked for anybody better to step in and kind of take the reins on this.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I didn't reach out to anybody else either. So you're correct on that. Yeah, honestly, like the show over the arc, like I've made a lot of friends, like people I would consider good friends, and more than just like doing the podcast, the most important thing to me was the community around it. So the Discord and people on Twitter and things like that. So I'm glad that we're able to continue on having a Discord, continue on having people around chatting and sharing and all learning together. So I think that's what makes it a lot easier for me to it did make it easier for me to start thinking about the idea of moving on from like a scheduled recording weekly. So yeah, but it's wild to think about Greg just popped into the chat. Like Greg was saying that we probably wouldn't even know each other if it weren't for the podcast, because I think I mentioned Insomnia on the show and one of the listeners tweeted at Greg, and that's how we met. Was Twitter. So yeah, and Greg is somebody that's had a huge influence on me in the last few years. So yeah, there's been a lot of really good positive like changes in my life from the podcast too. And honestly, like Paul, it was Paul, like, moving on from a job and being like, hey, do you want to try this? That was the reason in the first place. And I was like, sure, yeah, why not? So I also wanted to just to like formally say thanks to everybody for sticking around for all these years and coming back week after week and like sharing it with people and joining the community and just conversing. So it's made like the various transitions through my life, like moving to different states and different jobs and all that stuff, like DNC and the people that I've met through DNC have sort of been a constant through all of that for me. So that's been huge.
Yeah. I was kind of amazed with everyone's ability to keep up with the weekly schedule. Like we're all so doing stuff all the time, and how we're able to make time to do this. And then especially when we started streaming, like having a schedule, because before we recorded the show before we had the stream, right? I mean, for most of the history of the show, it was just recorded two people on a, Discord or, I don't know what you guys used, Skype or ICQ.
We used a variety of things. I think we used Skype at first and then maybe Discord for a while and some other stuff. There was never anything great, to be honest.
But like doing that with just two people on a phone call is such a different vibe from doing a quote unquote live show, right? And being able to stick to that schedule and produce something every week has just been, like you said, it's been a constant. And it is kind of always comforting that was there, but happy to, give ourselves some time back, as they say in the meeting parlance.
Yeah. Oh, like on that note of like, what did we use? I'm just remembering nothing particularly worked well. So we were constantly like getting pissed off at stuff not working. And Skype was the best, even though the audio quality wasn't great. So we just kind of dealt with it because it was at least not flaky in terms of connection. So that was like a constant, well, is it going to work this week? Kind of conversation that we would have. So yeah, StreamYard is pretty okay. Like it has been one of the better setups we've had in a while. So
I think like audio, video, chat kind of stuff in general over the last 6 years has just really, really improved. I mean, you look at where Discord is now, and you have dozens of people in a chat room, no problem. It's a free service. It's pretty astounding compared to thinking back on what Skype was like back in its prime.
Well, sure, it's all built on Elixir. That's why.
Yeah, that's true. So yeah, Anthony in the chat posted earlier the description from the first episode. Listen to us talk about JavaScript frameworks such as Vue and React, web components, and experimental site navigation called Zoomable UI. I don't remember what Zoomable UI is. Yes, I do. It was like you could click a thing and it would like zoom you into a UI, right? So you navigate like top down,
like a 3-dimensional kind of interface situation.
Yeah,
something like
yeah.
that. Yeah. I vaguely remember that, but
Wait,
seems
is this
like
like
seems
a
like a
page
weird thing to have in the
navigation?
first description.
Is this like
no.
a page navigation thing? Like you're pushing and popping your history and it's zooming in and out? Is
Yeah.
that what's going on here?
Yeah.
Wow.
Also, Anthony just popped a link in the chat from the first episode show notes. The title is JSX looks like an abomination, which is really funny. Thinking about the arc of I think Vue was like 0.2 something or 0.1 something back then when you were using it.
0.12, I think, was when I first used it. 11 or 12.
Right. And so now I'm like writing full time, like React full time. That's like the only thing I do at work. So it's funny how life comes at you, right?
But you got me into Vue.js, so I was in the midst, when I met you, I was in the midst of the Remote Ham Radio console being a 7,000 line spaghetti code of jQuery, updating DOM elements, right? And I started trying to do it in React, and I just kept beating my head against the wall. And then I was like, hey, you just like kept talking about this Vue.js thing, and that just totally changed my world. So that's been good. Thumbs up. 2 thumbs up for that.
Same.
Yeah,
I mean, we were talking about Vue in that first episode because we had basically both just come across it, and then both of us ended up using it full-time professionally for years. I used it all the time until a couple of years ago when I came over to MetaLab, and now I'm writing stuff in React, and I still think JSX looks like a bit of an abomination, but I gotta say, at the same time, I'm also doing new side projects and stuff in React just because of the ecosystem. Like, it's kind of at the point where, well, it's one.
Yeah, I think I stopped using Vue just before 3 came out, and it wasn't like a conscious choice to not use it. It was a transferring to a different job that uses React instead. So I haven't looked at it in a while now. Same reason, same for the reason that Paul mentioned too. It's just like I know it. I'm pretty familiar, fluent with React now, so it would just keep it going.
Wait, so Paul, where were you when the show started? I don't know. What were you working for at that point?
So in late 2015, Sean and I both worked at Octopus Creative in Santa Cruz, and that was a consulting agency. So it's client work like we do now at MetaLab, on a very different scale, but still the same basic thing. And then very shortly after that, I think within a month or two, December 2015, I moved to San Francisco to take a job with Imagix. And that was kind of like it was just a nice thing to be able to continue the podcast, keep talking to Sean, kind of have that connection back to the team there. Yeah. That's
I don't know. Think I knew you worked at Imagix.
Yep, I was only there for about a year, and then I got a chance to start my own company, so I went and did that. But no, it's a fantastic service, and I loved that job actually.
Cool.
Very, very cool tech. I mean, they just have a bunch of Mac Pros sitting in racks in a data center. Who does that?
Wait,
It's amazing.
Yeah, they have a blog post about it. You can go and look.
Yeah, they
gotta see
have like
this.
they had custom rack mounts designed for the trash can Mac Pros, and that's how they resize your images. It's not on AWS or anything like that. They have bare metal Macs in the data center.
So I know I've seen pictures of stacked trash can Mac Pros, like they're on their side, right? And they're stacked in like what look like milk crates, basically, black plastic. What I don't understand is why didn't they make them hexagon shaped? Because then you could stack them even more efficiently.
Maybe you should be working for Imagix.
Maybe. Hire me. Send you my resume. I'll put up my resume in the show notes.
I just popped a link to that article in the show notes as well.
Real hot take on the trash can Mac Pro. Real relevant.
I wonder what their infrastructure looks like these days. If it's
So Greg-
still, I don't know.
Greg says, I remember hearing CodePen use Macs for the screenshots because of the better font rendering.
It's true. Well, the font rendering is better. It's true. That's pretty wild. Yeah, I think you went to ImageX and I ended up going to DK. And then you did the other thing. I don't know if you've ever talked about the thing that the other company you did.
Oh yeah, I started a company called Nest Notes. It's not a thing anymore. Didn't work out, but gave it a shot. Learned a lot from it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I ended up at Design Collective with you. And then I left Design Collective and went to Metal Lab. And then you ended up coming over to Metal Lab. We're just following each other around back and forth.
Yeah. I mean, I was looking to kind of change up from DK and that whole grind, and then you just happened to, hey, they announced a role at the town hall today. You should check into it. And I was like, okay. So the timing was pretty okay there. Worked out pretty well.
So Sean, you alluded to earlier on the an arc of the show, and I think we've had a lot of sort of common themes throughout the show, sort of things we've focused on, no matter what like sort of technology we're using. And I don't know if you had any thoughts about, I don't know, what are some sort of high level, what are some common threads throughout this whole thing that we sort of focused in on and chosen, mantras or I don't know, ideals?
Yeah. So actually, like, kind of announcing in the Discord that it was going to be the last show, it was really cool. Like, people from the community were sharing kind of snippets and things like that. And so one of them that seems common is it's like the idea that it's probably okay. So I'm looking for a specific one here.
It's probably okay.
It's probably fine. Let me find it here really quick. It's really wild to me that people are kind of like saying, when I run into this situation at work or whatever, like to hear one of our voices in their head, like something that we would say all the time. That blows my mind. So Ryan McDonough is saying that like both Sean and Rockwell's "Hey, this works for me" approach has helped me keep from being dogmatic on one approach or another. And then Sean's "It's fine" has been a small voice in the back of my head whenever I get down on something. So,
Well, it's funny because we say it's fine, and sometimes it's sarcastic, like this is fine, like the dog in the room with the the building's on fire gif, right? But sometimes it really is fine. Sometimes that's what you need, is that compromise.
yeah. So I think like for me, theming, right? Like I think for me, imposter syndrome has been something that I've struggled with and still struggle with the entire time, And so for me, the theme is just keep not like fighting through it. Like you don't want to like struggle through life, right? But just like keep working, not necessarily grinding, but just keep working. Like consistency maybe is the most important piece there. And the cool thing is that, I've mentioned like people DM me on Twitter with all sorts of responses to things about the show. And I think one of the most common themes that I've talked to people about randomly is the imposter syndrome stuff. Like being so open about it, like not that other people aren't open about it, but just being willing to say it and be okay with that. I think other people have sort of identified with, and so yeah, that's something I think that's been constant for me. I'm finally now in a place in my career where like I've found ways to fight that or like techniques to use to kind of like get over that feeling. But that's been definitely like a thing that's been constant over the last 6 years.
Paul, do you have any thoughts?
I think we might have talked about this a little bit the last time I was on, but one thing that I always tried to promote when I was on the show, and something I think is a very important and cool part of the community in the Discord and stuff now, is just not being too dogmatic about things. And then this goes back to, it's fine, but I think it's an extension of that. Like, it's fine right now. That doesn't mean that this is always going to be, it doesn't mean that I'm going to use Vue for the rest of my life. It doesn't mean that I'm going to use React for the rest of my life or my career or whatever. It means that for this particular project, this thing that I'm trying to achieve right now, I have a goal. My goal isn't to use React. My goal isn't to use Vue. My goal is to make a web app, right? And this particular technology happens to work because of all the other things that surround making a web app in this particular case. And it's so easy to lose sight of that and become like a sports team person. and I think that you guys have always done a good job of not being sports team people and kind of not fostering that attitude in the community, which I think is super important.
I mean, if I was, I would still be talking about Cold Fusion. Well, I kind of still am, I guess. But
Or I guess like I was pretty sports teamy on Vue early on the show. For sure.
It was really
but
good, though.
it was super
that
good.
was objectively the correct opinion.
Oh, let me tell you, I've had interactions with people IRL where that was not the case. I remember I was at Octopus and we were consulting. We were basically like a team augment at that point, right? And I remember some of their engineers came down. Greg is calling me out, JetBrains. That's true. I'm Team JetBrains for sure. That's your fault, though, Greg. But their team came down, and I remember this very specifically. We were all kind of chatting after a meeting, and one of the devs there was like, "So, how much do you love React?" And I said something to the effect of like, "I don't though," and this person was visibly taken aback to my answer. It was real awkward after that. Yeah. So yeah. I guess that would be it too. Like not being dogmatic about stuff.
Yeah, and I know I talk a lot about, or joke a little about getting things done, and their kind of 8 or 10 different things that they say, and I think a lot of that sort of falls into the same vein of do what you have to. Not everything has to be finished. Posting on the internet, sharing your ideas, that kind of counts as a ghost of done, right? I think that's been important in driving forward in just doing things. Sometimes you just got to write code. It doesn't have to be good code. No one has to ever see it. It'd be nice if like eventually it turned into something, or like it taught you a new thing that you could leverage for something that's going to make you money someday. But putting that pressure on yourself and trying to fight against the need to hustle, quote unquote hustle all the time, that is always like a push and a pull. I feel like in our profession, I didn't go to school for computer programming. Like, yeah, I'm an engineer, but like everything I learned was from doing side projects and summer jobs and, learning on the job and just figuring it out. Like, I don't have I don't think any of us have professional training in being programmers, right? Like professional education.
I took a couple of CCNA classes. That's about it.
Right. So the fact that you're sort of always doing this stuff in your quote unquote free time, you get this association between, I have to be, doing something productive in my free time, and combating that, balancing your time, deciding what's important, how you spend your time. I think it's just a thing that we've just been struggling with the whole show. We talk about a lot. I think I'll continue to struggle with it. And, but I can't help it. I get excited about things, man. I just want to build things. Leave me alone.
I still, like, after all these years, I started making my first website in 1999. So it's been over 20 years I've been doing this stuff, and I still just love hopping into a empty project and making an index.html and some JavaScript, or even just like a bash script or something. Like, it's fun to just noodle around with computers. Like, I don't think you can see this on the stream, it's behind the logo, but I've got like a TV back here that shows a live satellite image, delayed by 5 minutes. NOAA publishes these gorgeous satellite images of the world, and I just have like, so I've got like basically a clock back here behind me of where I live. And that was just a fun random thing I did, and I think that's so important to like keep that joy of just making a random cool thing for yourself, because you can, and it's fun.
Wait, this is a little Raspberry Pi thing?
Yeah, there's a Pi underneath the TV.
Yeah, it's awesome. So a little standalone. There's a guy that sells these, actually, so you saved some money too.
Oh, that's super cool. I didn't even know that.
Called a Geochron. There used to be these mechanical things where it would show you. It was a mechanical like gray line, fully like gears and levers and motors, and it was a map of the world that would show you where the sun was, and it would change throughout the year as the shadows of the sun changes. And of course now you can still get those, but they're insanely expensive, and the guy who made them died, so now his son makes them, but he's like, I have no idea how they work, but I just make them because I have the plans. Or you can buy the Raspberry Pi version that does the same thing for $200. But yeah, the tinkering, love tinkering.
I'm
Stuff like that.
I'm starting to get more into that realm, because that's not, I guess like way back in the day I did tinker, and that's how I got into computers. But for me, I got into dev because I needed money, and so I started grinding because I needed money for food and stuff. So I think like through the arc of the show too, I've slowly been transitioning. And I think like after meeting Greg and kind of like getting his input on building stuff, and he's always building stuff for like learning and fun, and it doesn't have to be a business that you're shipping. That's like a really hard feeling for me to pry from my head for dumb reasons. I think we talked about this relatively recently, but like the idea that in music, if you're trying to make a living, like there's always someone better than you, and that insecurity was in my head, so I was always having to grind, and that ruined it, and so I feel like I've slowly been shifting from that mentality to being able to like, no, this is fun, I can just have fun with this, and that's okay. I always feel like outside of gaming, any hobby I've had has always sort of kind of like fallen away, because I was like, well, I'm not grinding here, so what's the point of this hobby? So I feel like I'm close to getting out of that, which is good. It only took 6 years, but it's good. I feel like I'm going in the right direction there.
Paul, I also wanted to call you out for something you said when I was listening to the show when you were on, and I don't remember a ton of what you guys talked about, but I always loved your perspective on things, just high level like life perspective on things. And one of the things you said once that I think about a lot is, and I'm paraphrasing, and I don't remember what the topic was, but what you said was something like it's talking about making decisions. I think like life decisions, like exercising or food or whatever. And you said something like, if this, I make my decisions based off of like, is this going to make me a better person, or something like that. Like does this small decision that I'm making push me in the direction of, improving myself? And then that was, I always just kind of like that, such a simple concept of, it can be so applicable to anything. And I don't know, that always just really stuck with me. And I try to think about that when I'm, deciding whether to eat the fourth Oreo or not.
That is something I think about all the time. Like, it's so easy to say, I want to be this type of person, whether that is exercise or food or being a better developer or whatever, and then like not actually do the action to make that thing a reality. And if you're not doing the action, then you're not that person. You can think about it all you want, and it doesn't change the thing. The only thing that changes it is actually putting in the work. That's hard. Like, that's a very easy thing to say and a very hard thing to do. But it does help me in some way to think about things in terms of actions are all that really make any difference.
Yeah, and not everything has to be a big decision, right? It's the cumulative effect of all the sort of small decisions that push everything in the right direction.
Yeah, totally. If you do sit down for that even 5-10 minutes a day and read something about programming or write a couple lines of code, like it really does snowball. And that's always the hardest thing, is just the sitting down part. Like earlier this year I made a video game and released it, and the hardest part was always sitting down. But once I sat down, I would say, okay, I'll work for 15 minutes, and then at least I put some time in today. And then I'd work on it for 3 hours, because that's how it always is. We love to. It's inertia, I guess. Inertia is a property of matter, and also just how our brains work.
Yep. Hardest part of working out is getting to the gym, or picking up the kettlebell or whatever. Once you get there, working out's easy, but
it feels great.
Yeah, you feel you feel great afterwards. You have more energy. You're able to focus more. Yeah, it turns out we're supposed to do that, right? We're not supposed to be sedentary all the time.
Yeah.
That's true. I think like the putting in the time, because it's not fast. I think that's something that I kind of always struggled with throughout the show as well, is wanting to be an expert right now, or wanting to have memorized a frameworks API right now. And especially over the last, I've been at MetaLab for almost a year, actually. At the end of August will be my 1-year anniversary with MetaLab. But Anthony. So I think the year and a half before MetaLab, it was like Elixir, then Laravel, then Go, and then React and TypeScript. So there was quite a while where I was like, do I even know what the heck I'm doing anymore? Because nothing felt easy. Like, it used to feel easy, right? But that's because I've been writing Elixir for 3 years. And I went from everything was easy and familiar to nothing was easy or familiar at all. And I sort of like threw a fit a few times. And it's good to like having that experience coming out on the other side and being able to look at it and think like, oh, of course. Now it makes sense, like I know why I was feeling that way, right? But yeah, kind of like going through that and being impatient, I think, had been a big learning experience for me. And so I've tried to implement things that actively help me deal with those situations. Like I started going through Execute program a while back, and they use a system called spaced repetition. I'll put a link to that in the show notes. But Execute program like really stuck, and I was able to remember stuff. And so then I looked for apps that implement spaced repetition but allowed me to create my own content. And so now, I don't think I've talked about this yet, but I have hundreds of note cards that I use. I use an app to go through them, and while I'm waiting for coffee to be done, every morning I'll just flip through these note cards. And I'm able to, I feel like I've accelerated my learning and my retention really quickly. And had I just had that discipline earlier on, who knows what I'd be building with right now.
So these note cards are just like you read something or you learn something, and like a fact, and then you write it down on a card, and then that card is just presented to you on some interval.
Yeah. So whenever I get stuck on something, or whenever I'm looking at a piece of code and I don't know something about it, I will try to figure out what the thing is I don't know, and I'll document it in a card. And the spaced repetition portion is the interval in which you're asked about it. So if I'm going through the cards that, like this app that I use called mochi.cards is the URL, but there's lots of them, like Anki, ANKI is another one. So it asks me, I'll look at the card. If I don't know the answer, I say I don't know it. And then I look at the answer, and then it puts it back in the stack for me to review that day. If I know it, it'll schedule it for review in 2 days. And in 2 days, if I know it again, it'll schedule it for review in 4 days, 8 days, and 16 days, and so on. There's like some algorithm, I don't know, it talks about it, that it uses. But essentially, as you learn the material, the time between reviews just gets extended longer and longer. So that's how Execute program works. Like if you're learning about JavaScript concurrency or TypeScript, or they have a SQL course as well I'm going through, you learn the material, you answer some quizzes, and then each morning there's new quizzes, and then you might be learning something or being quizzed on something that you learned 6 months ago, but it like triggers that memory in the brain, and that system works really well for me, turns out. So that's become a habit of seeing something I don't know, putting it into the stack of cards, and just going through whatever it tells me to go through that day.
I'm curious, like, what's the average length of a card? Is this a sentence and a link? Is this a paragraph? Like, what does a card look like?
Yeah, it differs depending on what it is. So right now I'm working through, I think it's called refactoring.guru is the site, but they have basically your classical Uncle Bob-isms or whatever, right? Like here are the different names for different refactoring methodologies, or here are different design patterns or whatever. So those ones are typically like, what is this design pattern? And there'll be on the inside of it, it'll give a synopsis of the pattern, and it'll give a couple examples, in my case, TypeScript, that I've copied from across the web. And so as I'm going through a card, I'll kind of like try to describe it to myself. So it's not really precise, like question, answer. It's more so, did I generally get the answer right? And the reason is the reason I'm not being super precise on this is that because I have a link on every card that goes to where I found the information, so I can just go back to it. So as long as I'm able to recall generally what it was, I can get back to where I need to be in recalling that information. So for example, code reviews, I've been internalizing these different shapes, right? So a lot of programming is recognizing shapes or patterns that already exist, or recognizing when to apply a shape or a pattern. And so I'm memorizing different shapes and patterns. And so code review has gotten a lot easier because there's more prior artwork in my brain for me to think about, does this match? No. Does this match? No. This one matches. Does it make sense here? No. This one matches. It makes sense. Yes. Let's prescribe that. So I've gone from feeling like not knowing how to go to the next level as a programmer, I guess, in like knowing how to solve a problem that I'm presented with or someone else's problem, to feeling more confident in like, oh, I've seen this before, even if I didn't, write that code, or even if I haven't like shipped a Java app or something like that. That's a bad example, shipping a Java app, but that's been really, really helpful for me lately.
I mean, honestly, I don't think that's a bad example at all. I think that's a fantastic example, because one of the most common questions I hear and see this all the time is people saying like, what is the first programming language I should learn? And it's just, and I think what you just said there about like, I don't need to have shipped a Java app to understand like why a piece of code makes sense or doesn't make sense. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter what the first programming language you learn is. It matters if it is relevant to the first project you're working on. That's really the only reason it matters at all. The second language is going to be way easier to learn than the first. The third is going to be easier, fourth, et cetera, et cetera. And just you need to, I feel personally that's just a thing you need to accept if you want to do programming professionally. Mm-hmm. It's just you need to learn these lower patterns and all the stuff that is shared between all of these languages, which is a huge percentage of the stuff that you're doing day to day. Like if you know how to do array manipulation stuff in JavaScript and you know the terminology for that, you can probably Google it for almost any other language. And if a language does something in a way that is unusual, like Elixir, something more functional, for example, they're going to make a big deal about that thing that they do differently and explain it over and over and over because it is weird and different. And most languages are almost identical.
That's
when
true.
It really comes down to it.
Yeah. I think that idea of like a large part of programming is learning these base patterns that are applied across the board is something that I skipped in trying to just grind, because the patterns I learned were here's how you make a WordPress theme, not necessarily other things that are lower. The patterns I learned were here's how you can use multiple jQuery plugins together, and not how do you write a jQuery plugin, or how do you implement this from scratch or something like that. So there's a place for both, of course, but yeah, finding a system that allows me to actually internalize this information, because I've tried to learn this stuff before, it just never stuck because I wasn't getting the reps in. Of course I'm not going to remember it. Of course you're not going to pick up a textbook about design patterns that has 24 of them in it, and you're not going to be able to walk away and apply them to your everyday work. But with this system, this spaced repetition, or no cards or whatever, I mean, it's not new to programming at all. It's like I'll link to this in the show notes as well, but there was an article called The Janky Method, where this person was basically like, listen, I tried to learn a program. I was not good at it. I found out about spaced repetition, and I found out about how it's used in medical schools and law schools, and I applied it to programming, and suddenly I'm like making money as a programmer. I was like, oh, that's convincing. What were you going to say, Raquel?
Just want to interject that they actually use the similar process for learning Morse code. There's this system called the Cook method of learning Morse code, and this is learning to receive Morse code, right? So be able to listen to dots and dashes and be able to decode it in your head, without writing it down. And they start off with 2 letters, like an A and an E, for example, and they'll just play it over and over and over again randomly. And once you get 90% pass rate, then they add a 3rd letter. And then you have to be able to decode those 3 letters. And then the 4th letter and so on until you're, doing 90% on the entire alphabet, right? And if you fail, slow down, you're going to get that over and over again. You build up that knowledge of, if you screw something up, you're going to hear it more often in the future, right? That's all built into it. So
Exactly.
Same
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, same thing. And we used the same thing, a similar approach. I didn't know what it was called then, but to get Jamie through the bar. So in SetApp, there's an app called Studies. And so we converted it was over 1,000 these Burberry. Burberry's like a course you can buy for the bar. We converted a ton of these things into digital. And so she would just sit with the Studies app and have Netflix on in the background and just go through cards. And she passed the bar after doing this for, it must have been a year. That's a tough test, okay? But yeah, so I was like, oh, maybe something. So I looked at Studies and I found that they do something similar, and then Execute Program. It gave me a term, it put a term on it, made it easy for me to research. So
I really like that. It gave me a term. It put a term to it, and that's kind of along the same lines of what I was saying earlier. You just need to understand this little kernel of how to search for a thing, because we all have access to this worldwide encyclopedia, this incredible thing that didn't even exist when we were kids. And now is the thing that everybody has access to, and you just need to know the right word to type into it. And you put the right word in the magic box, and you can learn almost anything.
Unless the word is .net, then good luck.
Yeah, I'm not trying to memorize. I'll pop the link in there. It was refactoring.guru. I'm not trying to memorize every detail about every design pattern that's ever existed. I just need to be able to have enough familiarity with the idea that I can find it later if I need to dig back into it. So that's my goal.
If the world changes so much that you're not able to do that anymore, you're gonna have bigger problems. So it's totally okay to learn how to Google, at least for a lot of stuff.
And part of the Janky method that I linked to is it's basically rules on what you should or shouldn't make into note cards, or what you should or shouldn't try to remember. So the author's maybe you shouldn't make 1,000 note cards about React's API because React could be replaced, could changes often. So yes, focus on the things that are true across the board, and then go from there. So yeah, I think honestly, to run stumbling across this, shout out to Nabil, for instance, Nabil, because he's been telling me about this forever and I just didn't listen to him, or it's yeah. So he's been talking about this for a while, but I think this has been one of the most important things for me as a person to discover one of these processes, oh, this does work for me, and I can apply it to more things than just programming. Apply it to, I guess it's similar to how I learned music theory too, was sitting in a cubicle in a job I hated. I happened to have a cubicle mate that also played guitar, and so we would just write scales over and over again. And so he would ask me about a scale, and I would ask him about a scale, and we'd go back and we'd draw it, and if we got it wrong, we'd cross-reference with each other, and then we had a mirror positioned on his side of the wall so we could see the direction our boss would be coming from. Again, I was a terrible employee, but I hated that job. And anyway, just repetition. Just writing the scale and over and over again. So it works.
G, D, A. I think 4 sharps is E major. I just want to generalize a little bit about what you said about spaced repetition. Is one of the things that I've learned from you over the years is the importance of just writing things down in general, whether it's on a note card or Notion or on a tablet or a yellow piece of paper. Don't look at that. That's privileged information. Just the importance of writing things down. How many times I'm starting to find stuff that I forgot I wrote down, right? But that's the beauty of it, because I don't have to remember it again. And even if you never look at it again, just trying to take your own thoughts and put them in words. It's not something we're used to doing. When we're writing code, we want to dry things up, right? We want to write the minimal amount of code possible to get the thing done. But having written prose that sort of expands on that and captures the ideas in a readable way that you can recapture later without having to, decode it. It's just been extremely invaluable for me for growing professionally and just personally, just keeping track of my hobbies, keeping track of just anything in my life that I would now I'm much more likely to just sit down and write the thing so I don't forget it and I can get it out of my brain. And I think that's been a huge takeaway for me from learning that from you and seeing you use your 15 different note-taking programs.
Just one.
Which one
What
now?
are you
What are you
using
on
now?
now?
Mainly just Notion.
What about Obsidian?
I still have it around. I don't know. It's fine.
It's fine.
I'm doing more than note cards than notes. So the nice thing about Mochi in particular is that it's not just note cards front back. You can create documents and split it up into cards. So you can write like a full length document in it, and you just put 3 dashes for a line break, and that turns it into different faces. So you can actually have a multi-step card if you wanted. So
some kind of Mobius card with like infinite number of sides.
yeah, exactly. And so like if you're doing a design pad or if you're doing a refactoring pattern, you can say what is the gist of this thing? Okay, what are some reasons why this happens? Okay, next, what are some ways you could resolve this? Okay, next, how would you so you can make it a multi-step process. But I started and you can tag things too. So it almost is basically Obsidian, but you can chop stuff into flashcards, and it has like a space repetition thing built into it. So
Cool. I'm really happy to hear that's
I don't
working for
even
you.
really know what Obsidian is, but
Oh.
I've been using Bear very happily for about 5 years.
yeah.
Kind of the same thing, I think.
They
Yeah.
actually have. I think we have I think there's a couple people in the Discord who use Bear as well, and they've got a super cool new beta out with all sorts of new Markdown features and cross referencing, and it's a lovely thing.
Yeah, it looks nice. I think I still have a year sub that I got a while back because it was like $15 or something like that.
Yeah,
I don't
it's
recall
not
what it was.
unreasonable. I think it's like $15 or $20 a year. Panda
it's not bad.
is the alpha that they have. Animated GIFs, tables, etc.
Animated GIFs. That's a killer app right there. Killer feature.
I'm not complaining. Resize
Yeah.
and crop images, sketching directly into notes. Oof.
Mm.
So I know we're running up on an hour, but I did have one question, like the only question I thought that I would ask before starting the show.
Uh-oh.
And maybe at some point we can do a follow-up. I don't know, probably just on the stream, but my main question was going to be like, where do you see yourself going from here? So like over the arc of the show, like you, Paul, have like transitioned from companies to doing your own company back to another company, and you're kind of like always consistently building something on the side. And you, Rockwell, have like, you've kind of like always said RHR, but you've been like branching out and doing other contracting gigs and things like that. So my main question was going to be like, where do you see yourselves going from here? Or like maybe what's one big aspiration that you have for the future?
I guess I'll start. I haven't given this a lot of thought, so this is kind of on the spot. But I think my general trend is going to be towards compartmentalizing and reducing scope of my relationship with programming. Honestly, stopping this show, doing the show is one small step towards that direction. I am extremely privileged to be able to do this as my profession. I just feel very lucky to be able to do this, work remotely, be able to live off it, enjoy doing it. And I just think that's great. And, but more and more, or less and less, I want to make that my hobby, and I'm trying to draw better boundaries between my work life, and it'd be just being programming and finding other things to do with my time. And so I think we'll see how successful it is, because I do enjoy it. Like nothing's going to stop me from, just like Paul said, just opening a new project and just hacking around on something if I'm interested. But I don't want to force myself to have to do that or write or talk necessarily about it, like if I don't feel like it. So I'm happy to do it. I'm happy to get the paycheck for it, wherever that takes me. This Dockyard contract is up in a couple months. Who knows what's going to happen after that? I have, maybe there's other opportunities for that for me, but also I've been doing this full-time contract gig, and guess what? The backlog on Remote Ham Radio just keeps growing. So I'm looking forward to having more time to spend on that and do the same thing, sort of collapse down our feature set, make the thing more self-sustainable, reduce our scope and interface between our app and the outside world, and honestly the people. Like if we can minimize support issues, that's the biggest win. That's the best use of my time. So I really enjoy doing the contract thing. I'd like to keep that up. I'd like to spend more time on RHR, and I don't know, maybe spend some more time 3D printing some stupid stuff or being in the workshop. That's kind of where I'm at right now.
It's really nice to have a superpower, but sometimes you just want to be Clark Kent. Like you don't want to program all the time for everything for the rest of your life, right? I think that's totally makes sense to me.
Yeah.
For me, man, I don't know. I just want to keep making cool stuff. Mostly, I've had this idea for over a decade before we met, Sean. I've known you for like 10 years now. I've had this idea for over a decade of some kind of digital scrapbook thing. That was basically what Nest Notes was. I tried this. I've been trying over and over to do this thing. I really want to make that happen in some form. But other than that, just keep on hacking. Keep making stuff with the 3D printer and embedded electronics. Like that was something when I was a kid that it cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to have like actual PCBs made, and now I can sketch something up and have it made in China and shipped over here in a matter of weeks for a few dollars. Like it's kind of it's really several orders of magnitude different, and that is super intriguing to me. Like that seems like a totally new thing that just never existed before, and most people don't understand how to do, and I do.
Limitless potential there.
Yeah. Unlimited power. It's that is just wildly intriguing and almost infinite depth, and so definitely something I want to keep looking into. Yeah,
I was on there's a 3D printing subreddit, and it's pretty good actually. Like I see lots of cool stuff on there. And one of the guys was like posted a picture of a model rocket that he designed, right? And I'm like, man, that's cool. Like, why aren't I designing model rockets? What am I doing? How come I'm not just designing and printing and testing my own model rockets and doing the telemetry with a little circuit board and maybe like a remote controlled release for the parachute and like trying different designs, see how high, like all this cool stuff. Like, yeah, I shot off a couple of Estes rockets as a kid with my dad, little cardboard tubes, but like design my own? Why not?
And that's so emblematic of what a ridiculous shift has happened over the last couple decades. They were cardboard tubes, and now you're talking about telemetry and opening your parachute and stuff. Like I made a drip system, an automated drip system for when we travel. We have an indoor garden downstairs with like grow lights and all that. And if we travel, for more than a week or so, we need some way to be able to water it. And I made an indoor drip system that hooks up to HomeKit. I did that in like 2 evenings. It wasn't even a whole lot of work. And that is just mind-blowing. That is not something that would have been possible even for a highly skilled much more skilled than I am, a highly skilled engineer, even just a handful of years ago. So like that is such a incredible and empowering area that I really want to spend a lot more time with personally. What about you, Sean? What's your plan for the next N years?
Well, I think like a theme here is sort of being curious, right? Like wanting to be interested in something or working on something because I'm interested in it. And I think for me that is a big part of what I want to focus on is doing this on my terms and not feeling like, I guess for most of my career, and I'm trying to think now, like if I've known you for about 10 years, that means that I've probably been doing this for about 10 years then. Like freelancing a little bit before, but really like my first dev job was when you and James hired me at Octopus. So that would have been 10 years. But like for the most of my career, I didn't necessarily feel like I really had control over what I was doing. I don't know if that makes sense, but because of how I learned via, making themes or plugging WordPress plugins together, configuring stuff essentially it's configuration, not necessarily building. I never really felt like I had real control over my craft, if that makes sense. I was sort of always at the, what's the word I'm thinking of? I was the mercy. I was always at the mercy of whoever else was making the tools. I was only skilled enough to plug them together and configure them to work together, right? And I feel like more recently, and I know this isn't the case, right? Because I freaking like build apps in the past that are,
there's
that are
that
still
imposter
running
syndrome
today.
again, right?
But I feel like now that I'm getting over that hump and I'm getting over that imposter syndrome and I'm getting over that feeling of I'm more so like a glorified configurator. And so I want to dig deeper into that. And I guess an extension of that is be curious enough to hack on things, like get interested in something and build something with tech around it, right? So I'm trying to do that with Law and with Jamie, like helping her not be frustrated because she gets frustrated often, especially when working on policy things and she has to deal with the government. That's a nightmare. But yeah, I'm trying to, what I couldn't do with music or haven't been able to do yet is stave off that feeling of excitement or that feeling of like, this is a job, this is a responsibility. And I'm feeling like I'm getting to the point now where I feel like I have control over what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing well enough that I can actually feel like I don't need to grind anymore, if that makes sense. I want to get to a point where I do what I want to do on my terms and make what I want to make on my terms, not because I have to, not because I have to be making because I need to be learning to keep my job, but I want to make because I want to, if that makes sense. And I feel like I've been getting there. But I would really like to dig into that more. And as far as like, what that looks like, I don't know. I mean, the real only job experience I haven't had yet is working in a bigger company at scale, just slinging code all day and being reviewed by other people all day. Like I've had the small consulting gig. I'm at the big consulting gig now. I've had the small startup experience. I've never had the big startup. So I could, maybe I could seek that out at some point. I don't know. I'm not saying I'm leaving MetaLab if anyone hears this. But, that's also a possibility. Like maybe I want to go find a job writing Go and maybe I hate it. I don't know. But I don't know that I would hate it because I've never done it, so.
Watch out. Greg's is still in the chat, I think.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? Just like slinging code all day and not being like, because my current job right now, I'm like half and half sort of thing. So I don't know, but we'll see.
Cool.
We'll see what happens, I guess.
We will see what happens.
Yeah.
Well, now what, Sean?
I think I've run out of things to say.
Only took 6 years.
Yeah. I wonder how many hours that is.
Someone do the math. Chat, do the math.
Well,
Like
early
Reddit.
episodes were like half an hour, right? They were
Some
shorter.
of them were pretty short, yeah.
Yeah.
I do think that any of us could get a pretty realistic AI voice of ourselves, like very easily, and high fidelity. It's a lot of content.
There's a
Get
lot
the
of
old
content.
Roger Ebert.
But then it's just going to be a Markov chain of just like JavaScript nonsense library names.
285 hours at least, at the minimum.
Yeah.
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 Well, yeah, that's kind of weird to think about. I'm just waiting for the day where that shows up. You once said this thing, like in a job interview or something. We have you on record as saying, having said some weird thing. I don't know.
Oh God! In theory, it's all going to be indexed at some point, right?
Right.
Probably, yeah.
Oh no,
Yeah.
that's terrifying. Delete it all, boys.
Burn it down. Yeah.
Pull the thermite over the hard drive. Yeah.
Then there are the after shows. Oh, right. I didn't even think about that. The additional hour on YouTube as well.
Shoot.
Yeah.
It's all there. Don't go mining, people.
But yeah, speaking of the after show, I guess we can, I can wrap things up. But I wanted to, follow up with just like thanking everybody for showing up week after week. And it seems like week over week, we have people jump into the chat that have said something like, "Oh, I've been listening for a while," or, like even Chris. I shouted out Chris earlier. He was saying that one of his longtime bots has been listening to the show for a while, which is wild. So it was really strange to me when I started getting more involved in Twitch and going to channels, and people are like, "Oh, you're the DNC guy." I'm like, it's crazy. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to just, continuing to grow the Discord, continuing to just keep chatting with people, continuing to help, trying to help other people learn and grow. So that's been one of the most rewarding things to the show, I think, is getting, messages or emails or DMs from people that have said like, "Oh, I just got my first dev job and I was listening to your show and it encouraged me to go back to school or start learning how to program or whatever." I think that was like, Paul always says to me, like, I just want to help people. And that was one of the main reasons why we started the show. And to actually like have those DMs come in, like that's like reason, like purpose fulfilled, So ideally we just keep doing that without a scheduled Thursday call.
Yeah, and again, I want to reiterate, like, if you want to experience, as what Thomas is calling the agglomerated brand experience, we can't reiterate enough. The Discord community is awesome. For the last time, the link is in the show notes. We promise. You're welcome there. Come on by the. He's literally.
He's swarming. Rockland's being sworn by his cat.
He's going full. Look at this. He doesn't want it to end. He doesn't want it to end. God, I'm sorry.
He's been chased away.
The cat is intense. I think Watson's still over here sleeping.
Sean, is that a green screen behind you or like a backdrop? Okay, yeah.
Green screen.
I wasn't sure if it was like an actual photo backdrop. It looks fantastic. The lighting must be quite good.
Yeah, the room, all the lights are off in the room except for the two key lights.
Yeah.
Sorry, can I pick up what I was saying? Yeah.
Welcome back.
So, thanks. Please come on by the Discord. Probably watch the Twitch for future cool streams, chill streams, coding streams, chatting streams, whatever that consists of. That's all we really have planned right now. And I don't know. We're looking forward to that and seeing you guys and girls, ladies, come by. Folks. I'm trying to normalize on folks instead of guys.
Folks,
Yeah.
peeps.
Folks.
Folks is pretty safe.
Human beings.
Well, you don't know. You don't know that.
That's true.
The internet, nobody knows you're a dog.
That's right. Let's see here. Yeah, I guess the meta is kind of different, right? Like, I guess we do have show notes, so you can head on over to dnc.show if you want to look at the notes.
We have a
Or
lot.
there's a lot of content there, mostly links to React and Vue. But yeah, DNC.show is not going anywhere. That's going to continue to hang out, be around, so you could check that out. And like Rockwell was saying, there is a link to a Discord invite at DNC.show. So if you can't find it elsewhere, you can head over to DNC.show and then you can get to the Discord community.
Yeah. And I guess we got to thank Spec too, right? Like they're not a part of the show now, but they had us on the network for a good long time, and that relationship was really great. And having them be able to handle all the stuff for us, and I don't know, do the heavy lifting so we didn't have to, and be a part of the network. That was an awesome opportunity to be there with some of the other more prominent podcasts. So
Big-
that was cool as well.
Yeah.
Huge thanks to Sarah and Bryn. Sarah in particular, who did a ton of work on the podcast over a long period of time. Really appreciate that. And John Cottrell, who had Sean and I on an episode of Developer Tea very early on, which was super cool of him.
Yeah, that's
Cool, I
right. I
didn't know
forgot
that.
about that. What a huge podcast that is.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah,
Cool.
it's pretty wild. It's so crazy to me that DNT has over 500,000 streams at this
That's
point.
pretty. That's a pretty good round number.
Yeah, I was looking at it earlier.
I do feel like there is one last thing I have to do, just to finally like really close the loop for anybody who's been listening for the whole series. This is not quite a LaCroix, but I'm going to open it
Oh,
right next
no.
to the microphone.
I forgot about that.
That's how we used to start each episode.
Yeah, those octopus purchased LaCroix cans delivered to the office.
Nothing tastes better than free water.
Delivered to the office by the trunk full. Our office PA would go to Target and buy out the whole thing. Back in the day. Well, Paul Rockwell, it's been fun.
Thanks for having me on, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for letting us be a part of your show, Sean.
It's Sean's world. We're all just living in it.
It's
That's
ours.
right. That's right.
It's our world. Cool. Well, we'll see you all in the after show, and we'll see everybody else. If you are listening to this, head over to Discord. Yeah, I think you'll enjoy it. And if you do, we'll see you there.
Cool. Bye, Sean, and
See ya.
bye, everyone.
Push the button.
Okay.
What's up, John? What's up, Eben Art?
Thanks again, Paul.
Yeah, thanks for joining on short notice.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for asking, guys. I appreciate it. That was fun. Rockwell, your audio has stopped for me. Sean, do you hear him?
No,
Okay. It
The
just
cat.
it just stopped. Yeah.
the cat is back.
No, it's okay. Yeah, I forgot my audio hijack. I have it boosting my audio and going back through loopback. Did you ever get that audio hijack updated, Sean, or is it still waiting to update after 6 years?
I'll update it tomorrow. Never trust it.
Just
I'll be back
uninstall it now. You don't
momentarily.
need it anymore. No
Right.
problem.
Yeah, I can never trust it. It'll just like make me restart my computer or whatever, you know?
Good night, Mom.
Oh my God, I don't have to listen to Stream Beats forever or a while at least.
What, you don't listen to it in your free time?
No.
That was really good. That was really, really, really perfect. I'm glad I didn't have to resort to talking about Fortran.
Right. No, I'm looking forward to doing some streams every now and then. Building stuff, you know. That's really what I want to focus on for a while. So it'll be good.
I really want to build 3D printed model rockets now. You can buy like, what do you have to buy? Just an Estes model rocket design, whatever you want. I'm sure there's a million designs. I'm kind of limited by size though. It'd have to be in a few pieces. Make it happen.
A few pieces. How big are you talking?
Well, I mean, my printer's only 6x6, so you'd have to do a couple of stages. Sorry, everyone, especially the people who just showed up for the first to see the show for the first time ever.
Yeah.
Oh man, Shy Ryan didn't get the memo.
Guys, it was 89 degrees in my office when we started recording. It is
Gee.
92.1 degrees in my office currently. It's gone up by 3 degrees.
You can come on down here. There's plenty of fog to go around.
Blame Chrome on that, or yeah.
I took my hand warming candle off my desk because I spilled hot wax on my mat. And now I'm mad because I can't get it off. And now my mouse mat looks dirty and it drives me insane.
Just
I might just buy a
rotate
new
it.
one.
Just rotate it, flip it. over.
I'll know it's there. I'll have to buy a new one.
Turn it inside out. The underwear's still clean.
Jamie heard you say that, and you're in trouble.
That's
I tell her like that all the time. I'll just wear them. You flip them inside out. You flip them around backwards. You get 4 wears out of it.
backwards.
I forget where.
That's interesting.
I think my dad said it to me one time. Like, oh, you can get 4 wears out of a pair. I was like, how? You just keep flipping it around and rotating it.
That, ladies and gentlemen, is how you get an infection.
Yeah, technically, you can get indefinite wears out of a pair.
Upside down too. Yeah. It sounds
It's
like
not
something he
like
would say.
no.
it's not like they're like Minecraft things are gonna wear out after a couple uses, right? Like,
So I got an email earlier today. Apparently, I was involved in I was a piece of a class in some class action lawsuit against
Ooh.
Apple. I got a $3.06 check that I now have to print and deposit, which is like basically $3 worth of effort.
wait, print? You have to print it out?
Yeah, literally, it's I click a link, and apparently I get some PDF for something. Step 1, retrieve the check from our secure online system. Step 2, print a check on white paper, color ink recommended, and deposit.
Color ink recommended.
Just doing what they're telling me.
I mean, as opposed to white ink? I don't know.
Oh, I think black ink.
But you said color.
I think,
Oh, not recommended.
yeah. But
I thought you
color,
said
color ink recommended. I think as opposed to like black only,
Oh, I see.
like a photocopier.
Take $5 of cash to $3. Yeah, I have been trying to close my BBVA account that auto rolled over from Simple for weeks.
Oh, Jesus.
I have talked to 3 different people and have received a confirmation email that my accounts were closed. Yet I still receive letters of bank statements. I'm like, listen, just who do I have to talk to close this thing? You can keep the money in it. I don't care. You can keep the $16 or whatever. I don't want it. Just close the account.
The funniest part of that whole Simple transition to me is that it switched over to BBVA, which fine, whatever. BBVA had owned Simple for 5 years or so, a ridiculously long time. I think they bought them like 6 months after I joined Simple. It was forever. So fine, fair enough. But then right after the transition, I think like within 2 weeks, I got an email saying BBVA was just bought by PNC Bank or whatever. So there's going to be another transition now. It's ridiculous. What are you switching to, Sean?
I use a credit union here now.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
I still have my California Credit Union as my bank. After 7 years? Yeah, it's fine. That's good. They refund my ATM fees so I can go to an ATM anywhere. And their online phone service is super good. I can deposit checks.
How
Do
does
bank
the
transfers. What more do you need?
ATM refund thing work? That seems wild to me.
Yeah, they I think you get a certain number per month, like 5 or 10 per month, but I don't use the ATM that much. But yeah,
Yeah,
they
that's-
the fee hits your thing and then they just immediately they refund it. They
Wow.
deposit the equal fee amount. Yeah, it's pretty dope.
That's a service. That's a great service.
Yeah.
Wow.
Redwood Credit Union. Santa Rosa.
Yeah, they've been all right. I mean, I've had to go into the branch a couple of times, but our house stuff is through them too, so we just kind of consolidated everything into one spot.
When I was at Agilent, actually, they had their own credit union. Like the company had its own credit union, which is
Wow.
wild. Like that's how
Well,
long they've
Instead of
been
paying you in US dollars, we're going to pay you in this special currency.
around. Agilent bucks. Yeah.
I'm
You can
actually
use it at the company store.
I'm not convinced that our rep. I don't even know what his name is. The person we'll be talking to about house things even exists. I've never seen him. Like we'll go to the bank to bring documents, and they'll be like, "Oh, you're here to talk to Patrick? Let me take the documents. I'll go and scan them and give them to him later." I'm like, "Where's this guy? He doesn't exist. Nobody knows. He could be a dog. I don't know." Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, so that's what we did. So it's like every time I call and support, I'm like, no, cancel every single account, cancel it. Cancel it. Just get rid of it. And they can't seem to do it. So
I still might. Back when I was a small child, I expressed like a little bit of interest, bank joke, in the stock market. And then like my grandmother got me like an investment account or whatever, and with a couple shares of some stocks in it, right? And like, I don't know what, but it has like 12 cents in it, right? and like they spent so much money sending me statements for this stupid like 12-cent account. What what are they doing? I think it still has her name on the account. She's been dead for years. Yeah.
All the databases that are just sitting around, you know.
Yeah.
If only somebody could write some sort of automated system that would detect these sorts of things and like stop sending mail to them.
You need machine learning for that. AI.
Is it possible? Can you program some sort of device?
No, because you need at least 2 managers to sign off on it, and that'll never happen. Will never happen. What a nightmare that sounds like. Trying to get organizational buy-in for stuff like that. Yeah.
How about the thing where you unsubscribe from an emailing list and it says this will take 14 business days?
I've thought about that actually. It must be something where like jobs are scheduled in advance. Like send jobs are
Right,
batched up in. But you would think they could just
in
delete
advance. Yeah.
those records. I don't know. It's goofy. It's goofy no matter how you slice it, I think.
Yeah. You got to pick up the phone, call the president.
I mean, what kind of Dell PC are they running that stuff on?
I
where you
almost
have
got
to-
the spit take.
Sir, someone is unsubscribed. It's an emergency. 3 a.m. call.
Yeah. There's a Slack channel where an event goes into, right, and someone's looking at it. It's all too real. It's all too real, right? Oh, someone's transaction, their card was declined. Can you reach out to them? Don't.
So much of the programs that exist in the world in production are just bad ideas that somebody had and then forced someone else to write.
Manually unsubscribing people.
Brutal. So like an unsubscribe request goes into a queue of some sort, and then somebody's job is to go through that queue and remove the people via a SQL query or something.
Oh, I mean, sure, it's point and click, but yeah, probably.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I mean, 14
You're
days?
sure?
We get apps approved in the App Store faster than that now.
There's a Microsoft Access view somewhere that they go into and click on.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I was trying to build something for Jamie.
Yeah, see, terrible web UI.
Exactly. I was trying to build something for Jamie one time. I think it was a hazardous spill website where hazardous spills are reported, and it was a government-run website. And she wanted to be alerted when new things were added to it so they could get people there quickly. And I DDoS'd it with like approximately 2 requests per minute. Yeah.
Oh, NetSuite.
In NetSuite.
Paul, tell me a little bit more about this clock satellite thing you got behind you.
This thing?
Yeah, is it just simple little thing?
Yeah. So NOAA, let me find the link. But basically, the NOAA publishes a set of new satellite images every 5 minutes, and I just have a script. It's super janky, actually. I just have a script that is running and will grab that image and then update the background image of this Raspberry Pi desktop.
Gotcha. Oh, it's just on a
The
regular.
janky part is the updating of the background image. It's very difficult to do, like from cron jobs or anything. It's a whole pain in the ass. I've spent hours on it. But the imagery itself is just beautiful.
Yeah, that's cool.
Cool latest. I'll send this in just a second. So I'm gonna get up somewhere.
I need to do something with the stuff you sent me, Rockwell.
Oh yeah, what did I get you? I got a little like Arduino starter kit, I think, right?
Yeah, it's behind the green screen. I can grab it.
Did
It's
it
on my-
have a? It
it's on
came
my
with
cart.
a little book of little projects. Just go through the projects, I think, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, just do the thing.
it's right behind this. You
I
can't
can
see-
right behind the black sand beach.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, super easy. Watch LED blink, man. You'd be hooked after that.
Yeah, I
It
think
really
that's
is all it takes. It's amazing.
one of the things I wanted to regain was more mental space to be able to do stuff like that.
Mhm.
Hopefully, yeah. I think it'll be good.
I'm so
I've got
excited for
some-
both of you guys. It was such a load off my mind when I stopped doing this show every single week. It's only like an hour or whatever, but it's hard. It's really hard to do something every single week, especially a public thing.
Yeah, and Sean, I've already noticed you've already been happier this week. or whenever, I don't know, we've been talking. I've talked with you more in the past few days than I have in the past several months, 6 months, like outside of this show, because you just already seem happier. So that's good. That's a positive sign.
Yeah. It was really interesting, like hopping into other streams and talking with people and everyone. You know, everyone's kind of like. So far, I haven't talked to anybody yet that's been like, "Yeah, good riddance," you know. But everyone's just like, "Yeah, I'm gonna miss it," and me too. But I think it's one of those things where like I need to do something else for a little bit.
Yeah.
And kind of do that. So I think what's different for me is that I'm in a place where I can actually make that choice for myself. Like my whole I think because of my upbringing and all that stuff, which I haven't really talked about, but I was like brought up with like loyalty over everything, right? And so I always viewed people that were like jumping jobs and doing what's best for them as like selling out or being selfish, and that's not true. Turns out I was being manipulated and having unhealthy habits form. But I think I'm in a part now where I'm older, have more life experience, and now I'm like, no, this is the right choice to make for me for now, and that's okay. God only knows. Yeah, so it'll be good, and I think like especially having the Discord around too, like that's huge as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, having people in there and chatting, and I genuinely enjoy the conversations, and I feel like I've actually chatted in Discord more this week than I have in a long time too.
Yeah.
So
I'm really sad I haven't really been around on the Discord. I did not expect the Dockyard engagement to be literal pair programming for 8 hours a day. And so I kind of take my breaks when I can. I honestly, I didn't even install Discord on my Dockyard computer just for kind of like personal paranoid privacy reasons, right? Like, I'm sure it's fine. Like, they don't care, but So that's part of the reason why I'm not around, but I wish I could be.
yeah. I think some of the streaming stuff too, like, yeah, I'll probably do some streaming on Twitch, but I think just even streaming in just the Discord would be fun, or, instead of having like a scheduled recording every week, we could just do like pop into a voice channel, hang out and just talk with people. I think maybe a couple months ago, Sultan actually suggested that, like, instead of doing the after party or at the after show on Twitch, we can all just jump into a voice channel and hang out. I think that'd be really fun.
Yeah, because we're just chatting with people anyways. It's like, yeah.
I want more perspectives. I want more, diversity in like the conversations, and it's just easier to do that in the Discord than,
Yeah, because doing the podcast in our echo chamber with no audience was one thing, right? Where the audience is time and space and distance removed, right? Whereas now it's become more of a conversation, and that's only made it better, I think. So yeah, why not extend that further? Didn't we start something at the start of COVID, or like midway through COVID last year, where we were like had like businessy work meetings? Didn't that happen a little bit? I'm trying to remember who organized that.
Yeah, I think I did something with that. What do we call it? Shop talk.
Shop talk.
Yeah, and that was the thing for like a month or two. It didn't last very long. Basically, nobody was joining. But I think if there was something, I don't know, maybe even just monthly. Like monthly is way easier to manage than weekly.
It's like a club. A club meets every month, right? Right? Yeah, Thomas Club.
I feel for a lot of us too, weekly is a bit much, because like a lot of people in the Discord have families and kids and stuff like that. So like every single week is hard to I think it's a little bit demoralizing too if like you're trying to organize it and then every other week someone's like, that's all right, you know. So yeah, I think I would love to have more like smaller events or monthly kind of things like that. The book club was awesome, I thought, even though I only went to it a few times because of reasons. It was still cool to like see people doing that. So
The shop talk thing is like, it's kind of difficult once you reach a critical mass of people because it's like, I feel like you need a little bit of structure, right? Of like, make it more of like a show and tell, where like each person gets a time to like, everyone shuts up and then they talk about it and then open it up to a discussion. Maybe like something like that would make it more, I don't know, accessible. Because like, if it is a once a month thing, we want people to show up. Like, we can't just have a free for all of people talking all the time, right? I guess what am I proposing is, what's that app?
Clubhouse.
Clubhouse. I'm proposing Clubhouse.
Yeah. Doesn't it
I
have
don't-
something like this now? It's like a recent feature, right?
Oh, well, yeah, but that's like really, I think the rooms you can set up are really public. I don't know if they're just server limited.
Proposing Clubhouse sounds like a documentary on
Right.
on the demise of Clubhouse.
Has it happened already? Can we write the documentary? Has it been long enough?
Programming Rust.
Proposing Clubhouse.
Like today in one of we have these like informal code review or code sharing stuff meetings every couple weeks at Dockyard with the client where we just kind of show, not demo the product, but just like, hey, here's some cool code stuff we worked on that you might want to be aware of or learn from. And today I was like, I don't have any code to show, but here's plant UML. And like, it got such a huge response. People were like, this is cool. Can we work it into our build system? Can we start checking diagrams into our repo? How do you set this up? Huge response. And I was like, not expecting that. So like, just sharing those little tools. I mean, again, we're like going back to DNC history, like all we've done is talk about cool tools that we found. And I'd love to keep that momentum going. So much stuff out there, man. So much.
Every time I looked at Go, I hate everything. Let's dig into this, Shy Ryan. Not right now,
Paul,
but we'll dig into it.
Paul, do you still have the link for the audio upload?
If I really tried, I'm sure I could, but I don't have it handy. No.
Okay, I'll go see it for you.
I have it right here.
I think you probably have it handier than I do.
I was just using it. I put it in the private chat.
Which you can't click on? Or can you click on? Oh, you can click on those.
Yes, I have the link. Thank you.
Thanks. Goes directly to my NAS.
I'll never have to look at the can't connect screen at like 11 o'clock at night again.
On a Monday? Yeah.
Son of a...
It's only happened a couple of times. I don't know why. I just have to reboot it. But, isn't that how it goes?
It's technology.
I'm using a Synology. For those not for some inside baseball, I have a Synology NAS behind that wall somewhere, and it has this kind of cool Dropbox feature. You can just dump files into it with a URL. But yeah, sometimes my power goes out a lot here in the boonies, so
You don't have a UPS on your NAS?
I
Or
don't.
you don't have your NAS on a UPS, I guess would be the way to say that.
I don't have either of those.
I don't either. It's right backwards is right there. No power backup. It's really bad. It's really, really bad. I need to get power backup. I have a UPS sitting right here, but it's dead. It's a
they
dead-
always die.
dead
The
UPS.
batteries always die.
It's
I've gone through
a bunch
so
of
many.
lead. What do you expect from it? It's doing its best.
It's doing its best. It's just a pile of metal.
Keeps my plane going. Leaded fuel. I actually complained about not having a UPS, and then on the show, and then like 2 weeks later, one showed up on my front step. My partner in RHR, Lee, shipped me one because he listens to the show. He bought one and just had
What?
it drop shipped.
The best thing I ever got was a slap chop from Andrew.
That was a pretty good one though.
I still
I got
have
a
it.
rock. Rockwell, 2021 0729 1820 recording.mp3. Can you verify that?
Is this some kind of? Do I need to do like a SHA-1 hash? What's happening here?
No, I just want to make sure the file's there. It's 43 megs or so.
Ah, you record compressed.
Sorry, man.
The quality will suffer. I want the 300 meg AIF file.
Yeah, you're gonna put that that podcast in high quality VBR.
I want it to be high quality on when I listen to my AirPods.
I've got a couple of zips you can have if you want me to send
Should
them
I
over.
have done spatial audio? Need like 5 mics around me.
Got them right here.
So what do
Look at 'em.
you think of those things, Sean? Because like you're using right now basically studio reference headphones. And-
Only because of I had one time I had Bluetooth issues with StreamYard.
Do you notice a difference in sound, not necessarily quality, but like the qualities of the sound between your studio headphones and your AirPods Max?
Yeah. Yes.
In what way would you like? What is the difference?
I think part of it is the noise cancellation. These ones don't have any sort of noise cancellation on them, so the noise cancellation gets rid of more background noise. But I've noticed I've heard things in music that I didn't know were there previously. with
Would you
it.
recommend that I spend money on those?
I really like mine.
Okay.
I like them a lot. Battery lasts forever.
How are they on? Do you use them for video voice conferencing for work?
Mhm.
With the built-in mic, is it good?
It's good enough, yeah.
Okay.
You use the
No one
built-in
complains.
mic.
Mhm.
Why? Your microphone's
Uh,
right there. It's on a boom, isn't it?
It's not always right there.
It's on a boom though, right?
It is. Sometimes I just don't want to move it. I don't know. So I always, it's really petty of me, but I just hate going into the menu bar and having to like switch back to the other mic because when I put the headphones on, it auto switches to the AirPod mics. So
I-
sometimes if it's like a
AirPods
I have to
website
jump-
and my entire computer froze. The whole thing is just
Yeah,
lagging
you're
out.
yeah, it sounds wild.
full-on robot right now.
Sometimes
bad.
if it's like a quick like, oh, let's pair a program or like let me help you get unstuck, I put them on. I won't use the mic or I won't use my mic here because I'll have to like put them on and they go and switch the input and all the way like hopefully it updates in Zoom too and it's a whole
What?
thing.
Don't you? Can you just program a key for this?
Or just use the built-in mic. But yeah, they're fine.
I actually got a what's it called? The Antlion mod mic. Kind of cool. USB magnetic thing you can stick on your real headphones.
If I think if I take these out, they're just going to
so
connect
that
to my
that is
laptop.
headphones, and then you have a separate thing.
Yeah, it's a separate cable and a separate thing.
So you have two cables coming out the left side. Then
Yeah, they clip together.
is it that bad you can't hear me at all?
What? We can hear you fine. What?
Okay.
I'm so confused.
No. Sorry, it just sounded like I was cutting out or something.
No, you're good. You're good now. It's appealing not to have just wires everywhere.
Yeah, in my new office or where I'm at now, the router's farther away and I haven't had any Bluetooth issues at all. Which is nice.
Yeah, so shotgun-ish compact cardio organizer mic. That's a thing. The problem with keeping it away from your mouth is it's just gonna be noisy, unless you're in like a padded cell. Even if it is a cardioid, even if it is a shotgun, like I don't know.
If I did that, my problem would be that people would just hear Watson ripping him in the corner all day long.
Oh, I am certain I farted when I was muted on the stream, but not in my audio hijack recording.
Oh,
There's gonna be a little blip in the
Yeah.
audio.
Yeah.
well, Watson will let one out for each stair he walks up sometimes as he's going up the stairs. Silly dog.
Amazing.
Actually, the other night he got in bed and like he likes to sleep in the middle. That's his favorite spot. And so he got in the middle, and his butt was facing Jamie. And I remember this very vividly. So I woke up because he got in bed, and Jamie rolls over to figure like what's going on. 'Cause it's an 80-pound dog slamming into bed, and he just lets one fly like right into her face at like 3:00 in the morning.
That's how Jamie got the guy.
She's like, I just rolled over.
I don't know what's happening. You guys remember how I said it was 91.1 degrees in my office? It's now 91.9 degrees in my office.
Good God.
I'm very sad. I don't want this number to keep getting bigger, but it keeps
Open
getting
a
bigger.
window. You live in
The
Portland.
window. There's a window literally right behind the camera that is open.
I can't help you, man.
What is it? I don't know what temperature. It's 57 degrees outside here.
It is It's 91 outside here right now, so I'm basically at equilibrium.
Jesus.
Well, it's about
Well.
dinner time here.
Cool. Well, thank you again, everyone, for coming by. We got 15. This might be the most number of viewers we've had right now. According to StreamYard, it says 15, which is awesome. Really appreciate everyone sticking around, coming out every week. No, we're not going anywhere. We're just gonna be doing other stuff. It'll be fine. So, and thank you to Paul and Sean, obviously, for being awesome and keep being awesome.
That work? Okay, cool. Yeah, it worked. Yeah, and Chris. I mean, Chris rated us earlier with 38 people, so he's got a whole slew of people. Just he works on like side projects all the time. Always working on some wild stuff. Like he made his own Comic Sans monospaced font, and I hate to look at it every time I see it, but he uses it all the time.
Right, because wasn't there a thing like he uses it on the stream for some reason, right? Like if he gets a certain number of subscribers or something.
No. He just uses it. I've never seen him program off stream, of course, but yeah, it's like a monospace Comic Sans. You could go and download it right now if you want.
It's probably really good for dyslexic folks.
Probably, yeah. Yeah. Well, cool. Yeah, we'll have a bit of a break, and then we'll be back. We'll be back on Twitch at some point.
Yeah. Awesome.
Take it easy, guys. Thanks for
Have a
having
good
me on.
night.
See you, everybody.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.